So yesterday we left off with imports and exports. We said imports were goods that are brought into a country. Okay, so they're coming in, imports. And exports. Exports are goods traded out. Okay, they're exiting the country. So imports and exports kind of work with specialization that we went over yesterday. Obviously, every country tries to specialize in a few items, and then they trade for the stuff that they don't produce. So with imports and exports, you guys might not be able to see the details of this map, but this is showing countries' major exports, or the main thing exported out of each of these countries. So the key down at the bottom kind of tells you in general what things are. If it's a green colored country, it's usually an electronic device that is exported. If it's that tealish blue color, it's food and drink. Dark blue is oil. Red is precious metals or minerals. Orange is metals or minerals also. So for the most part, that covers just about everybody. So that's their exports, and then here are their imports. So again, that tealish color, biggest import is cars. Now that can also be like car parts. A lot of cars are assembled here in the United States, but their parts are made somewhere else. Okay. Now let's take a look at this real quick. I'm going to take a wild guess and say all of you guys are wearing imported clothing. Let's go specifically with your shoes. I'll bet you guys great money that your shoes were made in another country. So let's see how good at this we are. Without saying it, don't tell me where your shoe was made. I want you to look inside of your right shoe. And by the size of your shoe, it'll tell you, it'll say made in blank. It'll tell you where your shoe is made. Don't tell me. Once you find it, go ahead and stand up. Okay, so if you're standing up, when I say the country that your shoe is made, I want you to sit down. I bet I can get almost all of them. No. There will be countries. Don't tell me. I just said that. Don't tell me. Okay. So if your shoe was made in China, sit down. China. Okay. Vietnam. Wow, that took almost everybody. Thailand. India. Laos. Cambodia. Mexico. Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan. All right, I give. Where are yours from? What? No, they're not. No. You don't know how to read. Well, spell it for me. I guarantee it's going to be Vietnam. If it starts with a V, it's going to be Vietnam. Vietnam, yep. Vietnam. Okay, so that's everybody. Now, how was I able to guess where all of your guys' shoes were made? Because those countries I've listed off, that's where the majority of shoes in the world are made. Okay, this map shows you where Nike has a lot of their factories. So if you're looking in those dark orange countries, that's where the vast majority of their factories are. So you see there at the top of the list is Vietnam. That's where Nike has the most of their workers. But they have more factories in China. If you look at the little chart there at the bottom left, it'll kind of show you that. But I mean, that's true for most shoe companies. So why do you think brands like Nike and Under Armour and everything else, why do you think they make their shoes over there instead of here in the U.S.? Why do you think that is? okay, because the places that have factories might have other supplies that they don't. You're kind of right, but I bet it's not the supply you're thinking of. What do you mean by that, human resources? Okay, you're really close, okay? Human resources is correct. They do have a lot of people there who are willing to make their shoes and make their products, but they're willing to do it for a much cheaper price than here in the U.S. Okay, so I pick on Nike a lot in this example, but all shoe companies are pretty much the same. Okay, Under Armour, Reebok, Converse, Champion, all of them. They have their factories over there. They all do the same thing. Most workers that assemble shoes in those countries, they're making roughly $3.70 a day. Here in the U.S., we have what's called a minimum wage, meaning that there's a minimum amount that a company has to pay you for each hour that you work. I think here in the U.S. it's either $8.25 or $8.50 now. Okay, so it would take people working there almost 3 days to make what one person in America would make in an hour. So if you're a company like Nike, would you build your factory here in the U.S. or would you want to build it in a place like Vietnam or China? Yeah, it's going to be much, much cheaper for you to make the shoe over there than it is here. Okay, so let's look at this graphic real quick. So this takes the price of a $100 shoe. Okay, so if you go to a store and there's a pair of shoes that you like it's on sale for $100, roughly $12 of that 100 is what it costs to make the shoe. Okay, so it doesn't really cost a whole lot to make the shoe itself. About $12 out of the 100 goes to actually making the shoe. Another $5 is going to be the transportation to get it from that factory in Vietnam or Indonesia or China here to the U.S. The other $33 of it is going to go to the actual shoe company. Okay, so of that $100, $33 of it goes to Nike or Under Armour. Then the last $50 goes to the actual place you bought it. So your Finish Line or Foot Locker or whatever. Okay, so the actual cost of making the shoe isn't really all that great. That's true for any pair of shoes that you guys buy. Even a really expensive pair of shoes. Your LeBrons or the new Jordans or Steph Curry's, whatever, KD's. They might be a $200 or $300 pair of shoes, but it's still only costing Nike or Under Armour somewhere between $8 and $12 to make the shoe itself. So why do you think the shoe costs so much then? No? Well, people are going to buy them, that's for sure. Whose name's on the shoe? Well, Nike makes the shoe, but who wears it? Well, that too, but who wears the shoe? The athlete, right? Well, do you think that athlete wears the shoe for free? Of course not. Okay, they get paid millions of dollars a year to wear the shoe. Okay, Nike gives LeBron millions of dollars a year. Well, how does Nike afford to pay him? Selling the shoe. All right, so that's why there's a lot of markup on there's more expensive or athlete-sponsored shoes. But again, that's true for most things, guys. Whenever something is made in another country, the cost that it actually you actually pay for it is significantly larger than the cost to make it. It's how they make that profit. Think back to our lemonade stand. You had to be selling your lemonade for more than it was costing you to make it. It's how you stayed in business. So this graphic shows us the difference between making a shirt here in the United States versus making it in Bangladesh. Okay, Bangladesh is a small country. It's right beside India. But it shows you like the labor cost is the big thing. See where that arrow is pointing? Okay, so it costs about 22 cents to pay someone to make that shirt in Bangladesh. It would cost about $7.47 to pay someone in the US to make that shirt. So if you're trying to make the most profit as possible, where would you rather have your factory? Here in the US or in some other country? Yeah, some other country. So that's why you see a lot of things like clothing and shoes, toys, that are usually made in some other country and then brought in here to the US. Okay, that's why we import a lot of those things. It's just cheaper for those companies to make them overseas and then ship them or sell them here. 12 and 13. All right, so we've talked about so far with specialization. We've talked a little bit with trade, how we have our imports and exports, but it doesn't really matter, what your country can produce if you can't get it to other places. You have to be able to get your products from one place to another. So that's where transportation corridors and transportation barriers come into play. A transportation corridor, that is something that makes transportation easier. Okay, sometimes you might hear the word corridor like used in reference to a hallway. That's what in some places of the world they call corridors hallways, or hallways are corridors. But it's just something that makes transportation easier. So things like highways, roads, the interstate, rivers, canals, okay, just things that are railroad tracks, subways, something that's going to help aid your transportation, get you from one place to the other faster. The opposite of that is your transportation barrier. Okay, it's something in your way. It is something that is going to slow down your travel. So that can be things like mountains, ice, snow, landslides, hurricanes. All right, anything that's going to prevent you from getting from one place to another quicker. So, for example, this is a good picture of a transportation corridor being built. Okay, this is a highway being built through the mountains. So if you wanted to get from one place to the other before this road was here, it was going to take you a lot more time to get from one place to the other. So by building this highway, they've been able to make that a little bit faster. This is a map of some of our major interstates here in the U.S. Not all of them, just a lot of the major ones. So, a lot of the interstate highways were built, back in the late 1940s, 1950s, to help connect parts of the country. So before these interstates were built, it took a lot longer to get products from one place of the U.S. to the other. You guys have probably traveled on 70 a couple times. It's that interstate that goes right through town. Okay, so you're able to get from Zanesville to Columbus in a little under an hour. Well, if that highway wasn't there, it would take you a lot longer. Here's a good example of a transportation barrier. All right, so you've got two different roads technically in this picture. Well, what happened to the road? Yeah, washed out and collapsed here. So are they going to be able to fix that road quickly? No, that's going to be a long time fix. So that's going to be a transportation barrier. People who used to use this road and travel on this road, the products and things that were transported on this road, they're going to find a new route. It's probably going to be slower and take them more time now. So that's just the difference between your transportation corridor and barrier. One is going to help your travel, the other one is going to slow it up. And that should finish us up, I think. Yep, sure does.